Hi, I'm Allick Delancy, psychologist working in the field of mental health and education. And today I want to continue the discussion on ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or traits associated with ADHD, and how it can affect students in school, but more so the focus today, because in the other video I will have spoken about how it can affect the child in the classroom and learning, or the student, because you may have a teenager or even an adult learner, as well as how ADHD in a person can affect other students as well as affect the teacher. So today we want to look at how we can actually support the ADHD student, and we're talking about things that we can put in the environment. So keep in mind, ADHD, it's an executive functioning issue that the person is having. So things like planning and strategizing and organizing, they do have difficulties in doing such tasks. So it's not like the person is necessarily lazy, or they just don't want to try, or they just don't care. It's not that at all. Of course, we know, like anybody else, sometimes we're just not motivated to do something. But we're talking about an ADHD student who, in spite of wanting to do and wanting to try, can find it very difficult because it's either not motivated to do something or motivated to try it, because they may not be able to follow a particular step-by-step process because of having challenges in organizing, or challenges with strategizing things. So let's talk about how we can actually create this support system around the ADHD student, or this prosthetic type system to support the ADHD student. So of course, first of all, we know that rules and consequences are important. So it is not that we are excusing the ADHD student, we are holding the ADHD student accountable. As a matter of fact, it might be more advantageous to hold the ADHD student more accountable than others. And the reason for that is they are more likely to forget to do a task. They are more likely to remember to do the task but not motivated to carry it out. So having that continue reminder to complete a particular task is important. Sometimes it may come across as, if we are supporting the ADHD student, it can come across as though we are harassing them or bothering them or provoking them, and sometimes they may get a little upset with the fact that we remind them again and again. But it is the nature of the disorder, the apparent forgetfulness or not being motivated to complete a particular task. So here it is that you, as the teacher or the educator or the one who is supporting ADHD student, because you might be an aide, you might be a student aide, you may not necessarily be a teacher, you may not necessarily even be a special education teacher, but you might be a general subject matter teacher. Yet it is important to note these particular strategies, and these can definitely help you. So you want to keep in mind that you have to be consistent in providing information on what they need to get done. You need to provide rules. Okay, this is what you have to do, this is when you have to do it, and if you fail to do it, this is what's going to happen. So if you fail to do it, you can lose marks, you can lose points, or you might fail the subject or something like that. So it's really important for you to provide these consequences and rules, so that the ADHD person can actually get it and be able to follow through more so than if they did not have your support. You also want to limit distraction when it comes to your classroom. So I know that your classroom may not necessarily only have ADHD students, so it's not like you will have the freedom to remove some of the chats and so forth that can be distracting for an ADHD child or ADHD teenager or ADHD adult student. So you may actually still have up your chats and so forth. However, you probably want to have that person, that ADHD student, not sit close to a window, especially a window where there isn't a wall outside, but it's actually a window where there's a tree and there's a playground, and maybe there's a roadway and cars are passing and so forth. You probably don't want that student next to that window or next to a doorway or anything like that, where you can have an increase in distraction. A matter of fact, that could distract someone who is not even diagnosed with ADHD. It can be distracting for them. How much more so a student who is actually diagnosed with ADHD or even have traits associated with the disorder. So you want to limit distractions. Also, you want to, and this was kind of highlighted in the first point with regards to creating those kinds of reminders and consequences and rules and so forth. But this one has to do with providing frequent feedback. So it's as though you're providing immediate feedback. So think about this. Imagine an ADHD student, and keep in mind the nature of ADHD. They may be hyperactive, impulsive, or even inattentive. You can find that. So there's a level of restlessness, fidgetiness, or probably the dreamy type, zoning out type. And imagine you did not provide feedback on a behavior that is probably a problem behavior. So let's see, the problem behavior may be that the student is talking out of turns. They're probably making some kind of noise with maybe a pen or a pencil. Maybe they're making some kind of clapping song in the classroom, or probably they're just talking to a friend and always distracting that friend. Let's say you did not provide frequent or immediate feedback. What will happen? Well, they will continue doing it again and again and again, because it may be bringing some level of enjoyment for them. It might be an opportunity for attention, so they're able to get attention from another student who is who they're talking to or talking with, and therefore they're getting that kind of immediate feedback. Because you're teaching your class and they're not really interested, or probably they are interested and maybe understand exactly what you're teaching already, so there's no real need to pay attention to what you're teaching. So they're talking with their friends. But if there's not a constant reminder to pay attention, then what can happen is that they can continue in that problem behavior. Of course, a teacher may say, so I have to consistently just stop my class and say, stop talking, be quiet, pay attention, focus, look forward, look at me. Well, not necessarily verbally saying it. I mean, you could, but sometimes what could happen is that you can disrupt those who are paying attention. So by you saying, hey, you know what, student A or student B or whoever, you need to sit down and pay attention, or you need to stop talking and look at me. You couldn't do that, but if you have 15 or 20 or how many students in your class, you can disrupt those who were paying attention or who were focusing on the board and writing the note or trying to understand what you were teaching. So at times you may have to give a verbal reprimand, you need to stop doing that. Or you can also have maybe a card. So on this card, you can actually indicate stop talking. So you just have it on the card written, stop talking. And you can just, as you teaching your classroom, moving around, hopefully you are moving around your classroom and not just staying one place. Unless you're maybe a professor lecturing somewhere down far away from these students. But even that being the case, it's always good practice to make it a little lively and move around and so forth. So if you are a subject matter teacher, maybe you are in the primary school or maybe the secondary school and you're moving around your classroom, you can have this piece of paper, and on it you have, okay, be quiet, stop talking, pay attention, or whatever you choose to write on the paper. And you just rest on the desk next to the student and you continue talking. So you don't say stop talking, you just have that written down on the piece of paper and you rest on the desk right there. So that can work. And you could also put like different instructions and so forth. Maybe complete your work. So you have that on a piece of paper, complete your work, and you can rest it in front of the ADHD student, as well as it's kind of less embarrassing for that student, because they're able to see it, read it very quickly, and then you could take it back up, right? Put it in your pocket or something like that, because you may need it again. More than likely, you will need it again. And you continue teaching your class without that disrupting the other students, but at the same time providing feedback, an immediate feedback on what you expect in your classroom and for the problem behavior to stop. So you say to the student, you need to stop that, but you don't verbalize it, you have it written on a piece of paper. Also to imagine if the student was looking at shorts on YouTube or probably something on Instagram or something like that, and they're getting immediate feedback, immediate joy from it, and then they move on to something else. So probably they're playing a video game and they move up a level, or they probably have to start over, or probably they lose points or something like that. That's immediate. So they're getting that immediate feedback. ADHD student will indeed benefit from that, and that's probably one of the reasons, not the only reason, but that is probably one of the reasons why a ADHD student may actually find themselves being more drawn towards maybe playing video games, or maybe reading a book that brings that immediate enjoyment and keeps them locked in, or probably looking at a short or a video, or doing something else that they really enjoy that brings immediate feedback for them. So you have to create that immediate feedback kind of loop so that they can be fully aware. Of course, you may say as a teacher, that takes a lot out of you, but probably other students could benefit from immediate feedback as well. So we don't have to wait until midterm or at the end of the term to say, okay, well, you know, student A, you were really difficult to teach in class because you were not paying attention, you were fidgeting a lot, you were not focused, you were daydreamy. You don't have to wait for that period of time. As a matter of fact, you probably can short circuit some of those problem behaviors long before midterm or long before end of term if you indicate to the student what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, and give that immediate feedback so that they can know what they should do and what they should not do. Also too, what I find is important is when a teacher use a timer. So you use some kind of timer in your teaching. So yes, your teaching period or your class time might be half an hour, 40 minutes or 45 minutes or 50 minutes or however long, and you try to use a timer so that your whole class obviously will benefit, but the ADHD student will also benefit too, because they can see the timer, and even if they lose track of looking at the timer, you could always call attention to the timer by saying, okay, we have 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes. Okay, at the end of 6 minutes I'm going to take up the paper, or I'm going to give you a new task to do, so you need to complete whatever you're working on. So once you constantly call attention to that clock or that timer or that stopwatch, then they are able to focus and try their very best to get the particular task completed. Of course, this isn't to say that in all situations it will work. Sometimes it may not, but you will increase the likelihood of the ADHD student paying attention if it is you use a timer. And finally, I want to talk to you about schedules. It's important to schedule activities for your entire class. So it should not be that as a teacher you just walk in and, all right, well, today we'll figure out what we're doing today. Really shouldn't be that at all. Shouldn't be that. But if you schedule, then all students will benefit, including the ADHD student will benefit from what is going to be done today, how long it's going to be done for, and probably even what the homework is going to be. So maybe at the onset of the class, you can indicate, okay, today in subject matter ABC, what we're going to do is 1, 2, 3. We're going to conclude with homework, and the homework is going to be 4, 5, 6, and the homework is to be turned in on Thursday or Friday or whatever day, and that is 2 days from now or 3 days from now, or how many days it is from now. So you say that to the entire class, and the ADHD student will more likely be able to complete the homework and follow through on paying attention during the class, because you will have laid out that schedule. So it's not just, well, the schedule is we do mathematics today, we do calculus or social studies in the next hour, and then we do it. It's more than that. It's actually going into the subject matter and actually spelling out exactly what should be done on during the period of time that they are doing the actual subject matter. Right? So I hope that this was helpful for you teachers, and if you're a student and you're listening to this too, and probably you got benefit from it and you probably diagnosed with ADHD, you can indicate this to your teacher so that if they don't know, well, they could know now. Alright, so hope that this information was useful. Please like, subscribe, and feel free to comment. Maybe there's something I left out, or maybe there was something I said that wasn't correct. So feel free to let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, take care.